New allegations against Sean Diddy Combs, a music producer, is accusing hip-hop mogul.
For many years, Lil Rod stayed quiet about what really happened to him. People knew him as a talented artist trying to make his way in the music world, but they did not know the struggles he faced behind the scenes. Suddenly, he decided to step forward and speak in court. This shocked many because no one expected him to break his silence after so long. The big question everyone is asking is why now? Why did Lil Rod choose this moment to reveal his story? What was the moment that made him strong enough to face the public and the powerful figures around him? This moment was not easy for him. It took a lot of courage and pain to come forward. Before this, Lil Rod lived a life full of challenges. He was young trying to build his career, but he faced many difficulties. People around him often ignored what he went through. He felt alone in a big world where fame and power controlled everything. Many times he thought about speaking up, but fear held him back. Fear of not being believed, fear of losing his chance in the industry, and fear of the backlash he could face. But something inside him changed. Maybe it was the support of his close friends or the hope that justice could finally be served. Whatever it was, it gave him the strength to walk into that courtroom. His decision to speak up also made many people curious. Who was Lil Rod before this moment? What kind of person was he? Was this silence a sign of weakness or a sign of deep pain? When Lil Rod started talking in court, he told a story that no one had heard before. A story of struggle, courage, and truth. He spoke about the difficult times when he felt trapped and scared. He shared memories that were hard to talk about, but important for everyone to understand. The courtroom became a place where Lil Rod's hidden truth was finally being heard. People watching from outside wondered about the effects of this moment. Would Lil Rod's story change the way people saw him? Would it affect his career or his future? More importantly, would it bring justice? These questions made the situation very tense and full of suspense. Everyone was waiting to see what would happen next. Would the court believe Lil Rod? Would this brave step be the turning point for him and for others who have faced similar problems? This part of Lil Rod's story shows us a human side to the celebrity world. Behind the fame and music, there are real people with real pain. It reminds us that sometimes silence is not a choice but a shield. It protects us when the world seems too harsh or unfair. But breaking that silence can be powerful. It can start a new chapter of healing and truth. Lil Rod's courage to speak in court is more than just a legal act. It is a moment that could inspire others to find their voice. No matter how difficult it may be. The tension in the courtroom was high as Lil Rod spoke. His voice sometimes trembled, showing how deep his emotions were. But with each word he grew stronger. It was clear that this was not just about his pain. It was about standing up to a system where sometimes the powerful are not held accountable. Lil Rod's choice to break his silence was a risk. A risk to be judged, to face criticism, and to risk his career. But he chose to do it because he believed that truth and justice mattered more than anything else. In the end, this moment was a turning point not only for Lil Rod but for many people watching and listening. It reminded everyone that courage can come from the darkest places and that speaking the truth, even when it is hard, can change lives. The question now is, what will happen next? Will this silence breaker find peace and justice? Or will the path ahead be even harder? Only time will tell, but Lil Rod's first step into the courtroom was a powerful beginning to a new story of strength and hope. The moment Lil Rod stood in the courtroom and accused Diddy of sexual assault was a shocking event that captured everyone's attention. No one expected such a big name to be involved in this kind of scandal. The whole world was watching, waiting to hear what Lil Rod had to say. The question on everyone's mind was, what exactly happened? What made Lil Rod come forward and say these serious words in front of so many people? The curiosity was high because this was not just an ordinary court case. It was a battle between two powerful figures, and the truth could change everything. Lil Rod's words had the power to shake the music industry and affect the lives of many. Lil Rod didn't just walk into the courtroom to make claims without proof or reason. Behind his accusations was a story of pain and suffering that he had kept inside for years. He shared moments that were difficult to relive but important for the world to understand. These moments were filled with fear, confusion, and betrayal. Lil Rod described how he trusted someone he looked up to, only to feel hurt in ways he never imagined. This made people curious about how deep this wound was and how it affected Lil Rod's life afterward. The story Lil Rod told was not just about what happened during one event. It was about how that experience changed him forever. It affected his confidence, his trust in others, and his ability to move forward in life. People wanted to know how someone so young could carry such a heavy burden and still find the strength to speak up. This added a layer of suspense because it made the audience wonder what would come next. Would Lil Rod's story be believed? Would Diddy respond? What impact would this have on their lives and careers? These questions kept everyone on edge. The courtroom became a place of tension and emotions. Lil Rod's voice carried not only facts but also feelings that made the case more real. His honesty created a connection with those listening, making them feel the weight of his words. This connection built curiosity about the hidden side of celebrity life that people rarely see. The world of fame often seems glamorous, but Lil Rod's story showed that it can also have dark shadows. This contrast between public image and private pain made the case more complex and interesting. Lil Rod also shared the struggles he faced after the incident. He talked about feeling alone and unsure of where to turn. His career, friendships, and mental health were all affected. This part of his story made many people think about the true cost of silence and fear. It made them question why victims often stay quiet and what it takes to find courage. The audience felt a mix of sadness and hope because Lil Rod's bravery was a reminder that speaking out could start healing. As Lil Rod continued to speak, the courtroom became more than just a place for legal battles. It became a stage for truth and justice. People were curious about what evidence would come next and how the case would unfold. They wanted to see if Lil Rod's story would inspire others to share their own truths. This suspense was important because it showed how one person's voice could make a difference in a larger fight against injustice. The impact of Lil Rod's accusations was not limited to the courtroom. It reached far beyond, stirring conversations about power, trust, and responsibility in the entertainment world. People began to question how such situations are handled and what changes are needed to protect those who are vulnerable. Lil Rod's courage to speak up opened doors for these important discussions, making his story not only about him but about many others who have faced similar challenges. In the end, the moment Lil Rod accused Diddy of sexual assault was more than just a headline. It was a powerful story of pain, courage, and hope. It showed the world that even in the face of fear, telling the truth is possible. The curiosity and suspense surrounding the case kept people watching, but it was Lil Rod's bravery that made the biggest impact. His story was a reminder that justice is worth fighting for, no matter how difficult the path may be. Lil Rod's life before the courtroom was not an easy story. Many people saw him only as a rising star in the music world, but very few knew the personal struggles he faced every day. From a young age, Lil Rod was surrounded by challenges that shaped who he became. Growing up was tough. His family situation was complicated and he often had to fight just to be heard. The world outside was harsh, and the entertainment industry was even harsher. This made his journey more difficult but also more inspiring. People are curious about what Lil Rod's life was like before he became famous. What kind of person was he behind the scenes? What battles did he fight that no one knew about? This part of his story makes us see him as more than just a celebrity. From the beginning, Lil Rod wanted to be someone important in music. He worked hard, believing in his talent and dreams, but behind his smile and performances, he faced many problems. There were moments when he felt alone, even in a crowded room. His childhood was not like many others. He had to grow up quickly and learn to survive in a world that was not always kind. Sometimes he struggled with trust because of past experiences that left scars. People who met him often noticed his quiet strength but did not always understand the pain he carried inside. This hidden part of Lil Rod made his story much deeper and more real. Before the court case, Lil Rod's life was full of ups and downs. He had some success in music, but it was never easy to stay on top. Behind the scenes, he dealt with pressure from different sides. Family, friends, and the industry itself all added to his challenges. He tried to keep his focus on his career, but the weight of his past sometimes made it hard to move forward. Many wondered how he managed to keep going despite all this. The answer lies in his determination and hope. Lil Rod believed that if he kept pushing, things would get better. This hope gave him the strength to continue, even when things seemed impossible. The biggest question many people have is how Lil Rod's past connects to what happened in court. His life story helps explain why it took him so long to speak out. Fear and pain are powerful forces, and they can stop anyone from telling the truth. For Lil Rod, breaking the silence was not just about one event, it was about facing all the challenges that came before. His past made him strong but also scared. This made the moment he finally spoke up even more powerful. People watching felt a mix of emotions, sadness for what he went through and admiration for his courage. Lil Rod's life before the court also shows how important support can be. Even when things were hard, he found people who believed in him. These friends and family members helped him through the dark times. Their support gave him hope and reminded him that he was not alone. This part of the story is inspiring because it shows that even in the worst moments there can be light. Lil Rod's journey was not just about pain, it was also about finding strength in others and himself. Curiosity about Lil Rod's past also comes from wanting to understand the person behind the headlines. What were his dreams and fears? How did he see himself? Before the courtroom drama, Lil Rod was a young man trying to find his place in the world. He was learning about life, love, and trust. His mistakes and successes made him who he is today. This human side of Lil Rod makes his story more relatable. It reminds us that behind every news story there is a real person with real feelings. The moments Lil Rod shared about his past created a bridge between him and the audience. People could see beyond the celebrity image and connect with his struggles. This connection built trust and made his words in court even more powerful. The audience wanted to know more because they could feel the honesty and pain in his story. This curiosity keeps people interested and hoping for justice. It also encourages others who have faced similar struggles to speak up. Lil Rod's life story is a reminder that success is not always easy or perfect. Behind the fame, there can be many hidden battles. His journey shows that pain and hope can exist together. It teaches us about courage, not just the courage to speak in court, but the courage to keep going despite everything. Lil Rod's past is not just a backstory, it is a key part of why his voice matters so much today. As we learn more about Lil Rod's life before the courtroom, it becomes clear that his story is about more than one event. It is about growing up, fighting, and finding strength. It is about the journey that brought him to this moment of truth. This deeper understanding makes the courtroom scene even more meaningful. Lil Rod is not just a person making accusations, he is someone who has lived through pain and come out stronger. His past gives his story power and hope. For a long time, Lil Rod kept quiet about what really happened to him. People wondered why he stayed silent for so many years. What was the reason behind his silence? Was it fear, shame, or something else? Many people are curious about this because staying quiet in such situations is common, but it raises important questions. Why do victims often choose silence? What made Lil Rod finally decide to break that silence after so long? This mystery creates suspense and makes his story even more interesting. The truth is, Lil Rod's silence was not an easy choice. It was a decision made out of fear and pressure. When someone is hurt by a powerful person, it can be very scary to speak up. Lil Rod knew that accusing someone like Diddy could change his whole life. He was afraid of not being believed and losing his place in the music industry. This fear kept him quiet, even though he wanted justice. The people around him also influenced his silence. Sometimes friends and family advise victims to stay quiet to avoid problems. This made Lil Rod feel trapped in a difficult situation where speaking up seemed dangerous. Curiosity grows when we think about what Lil Rod might have gone through during those silent years. How did he feel inside? Did he try to tell someone and get ignored? What kind of struggles did he face in his mind and heart? Many times, victims of such incidents suffer in silence because they do not have the support they need. Lil Rod's story makes us wonder about those hidden battles. It shows that silence is often a sign of pain and fear, not weakness. This makes us appreciate his courage even more now that he is finally speaking out. During his silence, Lil Rod faced many challenges. He had to live with the memories of what happened while trying to build his career. This was not easy because the music world is tough and full of competition. Lil Rod had to focus on his work, but inside he was fighting a personal battle. This conflict made his life very hard. The audience feels a deep connection to Lil Rod because they see how difficult it is to carry such a heavy secret alone. This adds more emotion and suspense to his story. The question of why Lil Rod stayed quiet also makes people think about the bigger picture. How does society treat victims of sexual assault? How often do victims face doubt and blame instead of support? Lil Rod's silence is a reflection of many other stories that do not get told. This makes his decision to finally speak out even more powerful. It is a challenge to the system that often protects the powerful and silences the weak. His story encourages others to find their voice, even if it takes time. When Lil Rod finally chose to break his silence, it was a moment full of courage. He knew that speaking out could bring both support and criticism. He was ready to face whatever came next because he wanted the truth to be known. This decision created a turning point in his life. People watching felt a mix of hope and tension. They wondered if Lil Rod's voice would finally be heard and if justice would be served. This moment of breaking silence is full of suspense because it marks the start of a new journey for him. Lil Rod's silence also teaches us about the complexity of human emotions. It is easy to think that victims should speak up immediately. But the reality is different. Fear, shame, and pressure can keep someone quiet for years. Lil Rod's story shows us that silence can be a way to survive, but it also shows that finding the strength to speak out is a brave step towards healing. This makes his story relatable and inspiring for many people who have faced similar situations. The mystery of Lil Rod's silence makes his courtroom testimony even more powerful. People are curious about what finally changed his mind. Was it support from friends, a new sense of courage, or something else? This question keeps the audience engaged and wanting to know more. It shows that courage is not always simple or immediate. Sometimes it takes time and the right moment to find your voice. Lil Rod's story reminds us that every person's journey is different, but speaking the truth is always important. Finally, Lil Rod's silence highlights the need for a better system to support victims. His story encourages conversations about how to create safe spaces where people can share their experiences without fear. It also shows that victims need time and understanding to come forward. This part of his story is not just about him but about many others who are still silent. It is a call for change and compassion. Lil Rod's bravery in breaking his silence can inspire others to do the same, knowing they are not alone. The courtroom was filled with tension as Lil Rod began to share his story. Every eye was on him waiting for what he would say next. The air felt heavy because everyone knew that this moment could change everything. Lil Rod's voice sometimes shook, but his words were clear and strong. This was not just about facts anymore, it was about emotions, truth, and courage. The curiosity in the room was high. What would Lil Rod say that could shake the powerful music industry? Would his story make people believe him? This tension made the courtroom feel like a stage where a great drama was unfolding. Lil Rod's testimony was full of deep feelings. He talked about the fear he lived with, the shame he felt, and the pain that stayed with him for years. These emotions made his story very real and touched many people. When he spoke, you could feel the struggle inside him. This made people curious about what happened behind the scenes. What was it like for Lil Rod to carry such a heavy burden? How did he manage to live with this pain while trying to succeed? These questions kept the audience engaged and hopeful for justice. The courtroom was not just a place for legal arguments, it became a place for Lil Rod to be heard as a human being. His emotions showed that this case was about more than just a legal fight. It was about respect, trust, and the right to be safe. Lil Rod's courage to share his feelings made the case stronger because it connected with people's hearts. It showed that sometimes truth is not only in the evidence but also in the pain and bravery of the person telling the story. As Lil Rod spoke, the people in the courtroom started to see a different side of him. He was not just a young artist or a victim. He was a person fighting for justice and healing. This made the case more than just a headline or gossip. It became a story about human strength and hope. The suspense in the courtroom grew because everyone wanted to know what would happen next. Would the truth come out? Would Lil Rod's bravery be enough to bring justice? These questions made the courtroom feel alive with emotion. Lil Rod's testimony also raised important questions about how victims are treated in the music industry and the world. Many people began to wonder why it took so long for someone to speak out against such powerful figures. The emotions in the courtroom showed that this was a problem that went beyond just one case. It made people think about the need for change and better protection for those who are vulnerable. Lil Rod's story inspired many to believe that speaking out is the first step toward making things better. The emotional moment in the courtroom created a strong bond between Lil Rod and the people watching. His honesty and pain made it easier for others to understand his experience. This connection was important because it built trust and support for Lil Rod. People began to hope that this moment would lead to justice not just for him but for others too. The suspense and emotions made this part of the story unforgettable. It showed that courage and truth can touch hearts and change minds. Lil Rod's brave testimony also showed that healing is possible. Speaking in court was not easy for him, but it was a step toward finding peace. His story gave hope to those who might still be silent and afraid. It reminded people that they are not alone and that their voices matter. This emotional part of the story was powerful because it showed the strength that comes from telling the truth. It made the courtroom a place of hope and change. As the testimony ended, the room was filled with a mix of silence and emotion. Everyone felt the weight of Lil Rod's words. This moment was not just about a legal case. It was about courage, truth, and the fight for justice. The curiosity about what would happen next stayed with everyone. Would the court believe Lil Rod? Would justice be served? These questions kept the story alive and made everyone eager to see the outcome. This part of Lil Rod's story shows that emotions and courage are as important as facts in any fight for justice. It reminds us that behind every legal case there are real people with real feelings. Lil Rod's bravery in the courtroom made his story powerful and unforgettable. It showed that speaking the truth can bring light even in the darkest moments. His story continues to inspire and give hope to many who are still searching for their own voice. The moment Lil Rod's court case ended, many people were left with questions. What happens next? How will this change Lil Rod's life? What will happen to Diddy? The courtroom drama was over, but the real story was just beginning. People were curious about how Lil Rod would move forward from such a difficult experience. Would he be able to heal and rebuild his life? These questions created suspense and hope because everyone wanted to see how this young artist would grow after telling his truth. Lil Rod's life after the court case was full of challenges but also new opportunities. Speaking out made him stronger in many ways, but it was not easy to leave the past behind. He had to face many emotions, including fear, sadness, and even anger. But with time, Lil Rod began to understand that telling his story was a step toward healing. This made people curious about what his future would look like. Would he continue his music career? Would he become a voice for others who face similar problems? This part of his life was a new chapter full of unknowns and possibilities. One important thing Lil Rod learned after the case was the power of support. He found people who believed in him and helped him heal. Friends, family, and fans stood by him, showing that he was not alone. This support gave him hope and confidence to keep going. Many people felt inspired by this because it showed that even after pain there can be kindness and strength. Lil Rod's story reminded everyone that healing is a journey, and it is easier with people who care. The court case also changed the way people saw Lil Rod. He was no longer just a young artist, he became a symbol of courage and truth. His bravery inspired many others to speak up about their own experiences. This created a wave of awareness about sexual assault and the importance of justice. People started to talk more openly about these issues and demand change. Lil Rod's courage made a difference not only in his life but also in the lives of many others. This added a sense of hope and progress to the story. Despite the support and inspiration, Lil Rod still faced difficulties. The road to healing is not straight, and there were times when he felt overwhelmed. The public attention and pressure were hard to handle. People were curious about how he dealt with these challenges. Did he find peace? Did he feel stronger every day? These questions made his story real and relatable. It showed that healing takes time and is not always easy, but it is possible. Lil Rod also started to use his platform in new ways. He spoke about his experience to raise awareness and help others. This showed his growth and maturity. From a young artist struggling in silence, he became a leader who used his voice for good. People admired this change and wanted to follow his journey. The curiosity about what he would do next kept his story alive. Would he become an activist? Would he continue making music with a new message? These possibilities made people excited about his future. The story of Lil Rod after the courtroom is a powerful reminder that life goes on after difficult moments. It shows the strength of the human spirit and the importance of speaking the truth. His journey teaches us that even when faced with pain and fear, we can find hope and healing. This part of the story is full of promise and courage. It leaves people thinking about their own lives and how they can face challenges with bravery. As Lil Rod moves forward, his story continues to inspire and bring change. The curiosity about his future shows that people believe in him and want to see him succeed. His courage has opened doors not just for himself but for many others. This makes his story not just about a court case but about hope, healing, and the power of truth. Lil Rod's journey is a message that no matter how hard life gets, speaking your truth can lead to a better tomorrow.